Hello and welcome to Plumbing 2, another edition. This is Chapter 4 of the Uniform Plumbing Code, the 2018 edition. We're going to go ahead and briefly, well, not really briefly, but we are going to do an abbreviated version of Chapter 4, Plumbing Fixtures and Fixture Fittings. So we're going to go over the ones that I deem relatively important. Section 401.2, the quality of fixtures. Plumbing fixtures shall be constructed of dense, durable, non-absorbent materials and shall have smooth, impervious surfaces, free from unnecessary concealed fouling surfaces. Pretty self-explanatory. It needs to be smooth because you don't want any bacteria to collect on anything that's not smooth. The installation, section 402. Cleaning, 402.1. Plumbing fixtures shall be installed in a manner to afford easy access for repairs and cleaning. The pipes from fixtures shall be run to the nearest wall. So yeah, again, we re-emphasize the smooth, impervious surface. They shall be installed in a manner to afford easy access for repairs and cleaning. So you need to be able to clean your plumbing fixtures. The joints, where a fixture comes in contact with a wall or floor, the joint between the fixture and the wall or floor shall be made watertight. The way we make that watertight is by caulking it and using some form of caulking. Then we have section 402.3, securing the fixtures. Floor outlet or floor mounted fixtures shall be rigidly secured to the drainage connection and to the floor where so designed by screws or bolts of copper alloy or brass, or other equally corrosion resistant material. And we're going to cover that again. It's going to be repeated several times in the next few minutes. So they kind of deem that important to utilize some form of corrosion resistant material. Section 402.5, setting. Fixtures shall be set level and in proper alignment with reference to the adjacent walls. No water closet or bidet shall be set closer than 15 inches from its center to a side wall or obstruction, or closer than 30 inches center to center to a similar fixture. The clear space in front of a water closet, lavatory, or bidet shall be not less than 24 inches. No urinal shall be set closer than 12 inches from its center to a side wall or a partition, or closer than 24 inches center to center. So what that means is a water closet or toilet, the center of your water closet has to be no less than 15 inches. So we have a wall, and then we're going to have our water closet right there. There's your toilet. So this toilet from here to there is 15 inches. It can't be less than that. Plus it needs to be adjacent, which means it's running parallel to this side wall and adjacent to this back wall. That's what they mean by that. And so if you had two toilets, what's the distance here? From its center to a sidewall or obstruction, or closer than 30 inches center to center to a similar fixture. So from here to here, 30 inches. Okay? Because if you put a partition in here, that's 15 inches away. That's for the water closet. The urinal, they make it 12 and 24. Okay? So keep in mind, everything that I mentioned in this lecture will probably be covered on the test. There is an exception. The installation of paper dispensers or accessibility grab bars shall not be considered an obstruction. Section 402.6, flanged fixture connections. Fixture connections between drainage pipes and water closets, floor outlets, service sinks, and urinals shall be made using an approved copper alloy, hard lead, ABS, PVC, or iron flanges, caulked, soldered, solvent cemented, rubber compression gaskets, or screwed to the drainage pipe. The connection shall be bolted with an approved gasket, washer, or setting compound between the fixture and the connection. The setting compound is usually like a wax ring. The bottom of the flange shall be set on an approved firm base. Okay? What they're talking about is the closet flange itself. There's a whole section on closet flanges. The closet flange looks a little like this. So the toilet mounts on this flange right here. And this comes off the floor. So this is sitting off of the floor, resting on top of the floor. There is your closet flange. Closet rings or closet flanges for water closets or similar fixtures shall be of an approved type and shall be copper alloy, copper, hard lead, cast iron, galvanized malleable iron, ABS, PVC, or other approved materials. Each such closet ring or closet flange shall be approximately 7 inches in diameter, and where installed shall together with the soil pipe present an 1.5 inch wide flange or face to receive the fixture gasket or closet seal. That means from the edge of the hole outward is 1.5 inches on both sides, all the way around. Caulked on closet rings or closet flanges shall be not less than 1/4 inch thick and not less than 2 inches in overall depth. Closet rings or closet flanges shall be burned or soldered to lead bend or stubs, shall be caulked to cast iron soil pipe, shall be solvent cemented to ABS and PVC, and shall be screwed or fastened in an approved manner to other materials. The closet bend or stub shall be cut off to present a smooth surface even with the top of the closet ring before the rough inspection is called. Closet rings shall be adequately designed and secured to support fixtures connected thereto. So it needs to be, like I said earlier in the section before, the bottom of the flange shall be set on an approved firm base because it needs to be secured and supported you need to be able to secure and support your fixtures. And then it talks about securing your closet flange by using corrosion resistant materials. Let's see, 402.6.3, securing a floor mounted back outlet water closet bowl. Floor mounted back outlet water closet bowls shall be set level with an angle of 90 degrees between the floor and the wall at the center line of the fixture outlet. The floor and wall shall have a flat mounting surface not less than 5 inches to the right and left of the fixture outlet center line. The fixture shall be secured to the wall outlet flange or drainage connection and the floor by corrosion resistant screws or bolts. The closet flange shall be secured to a firm base. Where floor-mounted back outlet water closets are used, the soil pipe shall be not less than 3 inches in diameter. Offset, eccentric, or reducing floor flanges shall not be used. First off, real quick, so here you have a different type of water closet. It's floor mounted, so it does get mounted on the floor. Okay. However, the waste so there's my crude attempt at a water closet. Okay, so your bolts go in here and they get mounted onto the floor. But it's a side outlet, so it comes out the wall right here. And your waste goes out there instead of this way. So that's what I mean by a wall mount, wall outlets, floor mount, water closet. And back to this guy. So this is your typical closet flange, right? They make a flange that is offset. So what it does is it moves you off the center line. But what that also does is it constricts the flow. This one here, you have that as your waste going all the way down. This one starts out that way, but because you offset it this way, it creates that, which is a restriction of flow. Can you imagine a person with a high iron diet, so to speak, trying to go to the bathroom and then trying to flush it through that? It's not going to work. Let's turn the page and go over here. 402.10. Fixtures having concealed slip joint connections shall be provided with an access panel or utility space not less than 12 inches in its least dimension and so arranged without obstructions as to make such connections accessible for inspection and repair. And we talked about slip joint couplings before, or a slip joint connection. All it is really is a threaded connection. So, where the tubing goes into the one side and a compression fitting tightens it up. You cannot hide those. Future fixtures. Where provisions are made for the future installation of fixtures, where you're going to put something in, you know. Those provided for shall be considered in determining the required sizes of the drain and the water supply piping. So whatever type of future fixture you're planning on putting in, you need to make sure you know what the requirements are so you can properly run that size. The construction for future installation shall be terminated with a plugged fitting or fittings. Where the plugged fitting is at the point where the trap of a fixture is installed, the plumbing system for such fixture shall be complete and be in accordance with the plumbing requirements of this code. So if you're going to be putting in a future fixture, you need to make sure you know exactly the right size, what it's going to take, what kind of volume it has, and you're going to have to implement that into your sizing calculations to make sure that your system doesn't get starved out after installing it at a later date. We're going to talk a little bit here about overflows. Where a fixture is provided with an overflow, the waste shall be so arranged that the standing water in the fixture shall not rise in the overflow where the stopper is closed or remain in the overflow where the fixture is empty. The overflow pipe from a fixture shall be connected to the house or inlet side of the fixture trap, except that overflow on flush tanks shall be permitted to discharge into the water closets or urinals served by them, but it shall be unlawful to connect such overflows with any part of the drainage system. So we have a couple of things here. See if I can explain it to you in such a way that makes total sense. So here we have a lav. We'll put our little faucet right here, right? And so there's your faucet, there's your lav, and here's your waste coming down, which is your fixture drain, okay? On the front face, because this is the front of the counter, and this will be the top backsplash, you know. Okay, so right here, you have a couple of holes right there on the lav. Those are your overflows. Those are connected to an overflow pipe that's either built into the lav or external. And that ties into the fixture drain right here. So if you do plug it and the water level rises, right? This plug is not going to inhibit this overflow from taking the water and draining it out. And when you do unplug it and all the water goes down, this overflow will stay open. So that's what those little holes are right there for the lav. That is to ensure that this water doesn't kind of creep up over the flood level rim and drain out over the counter. The other one they were talking about is the overflow for a water closet. If you open up the tank, okay, of a water closet, you'll see you have the flush control, right? And it's got the little ball deal on there, and it's got the little diaphragm, right? And that is connected on the bottom. And then you have this overflow that's right in the middle, and it's a hole. It's a pipe with a hole on it. But on that, you also have the flapper, and then the drain itself, right? So all the water goes down inside here, and then this flapper drops back down, and the water level rises until this float stops it. But if, and this is the top of the tank right there, if the water level rises inside the tank and it goes over this overflow, oh, there's also a little, there's also a hose that runs over to this point and drains down inside here. This is aiding inside the bowl. This is filling water into your overflow, which is kind of scouring the bowl as it's filling. Okay? So that's what this does here. And this overflow, if this water continues to go, you're not going to go ahead and overflow your tank. This is going to go into the bowl and drain out. So those are the two things about the overflows. Wow, there we go. I wanted to mention this, section 405.2. Trough urinals and urinals with an invisible seal shall be prohibited. It was a sad day when that came out because I can remember the trough urinals. It was like a, I don't know, it was like a meet and greet, you know, you just show up and stand there next to somebody and ask them how their day was while you were relieving yourself. It was sad, but I understand why, because it's disgusting. So, I'm going to post a couple of videos next to this link for this chapter, and it's going to show a couple of urinals that that are pretty unique. And one of them is at the a place called the Madonna Inn, and it's really cool. I was told by my Plumbing 1 instructor about it, and it just so happened to coincide with my honeymoon. And on my honeymoon, driving up north, it's up in Santa Barbara, I told my wife that we needed to stop off at this place just so I could use the bathroom. And I went in, and it was a freaking cool bathroom. It was really neat. So I'm going to show you a video of it, or at least put it next to this link, and you will like it. It's pretty cool. It's pretty neat. Bottom line is, I went to go use the bathroom, and while I was using that urinal, two old people, old ladies, came in to ask if they could film the or take a picture of the attraction, and I thought they were talking about me, but they were actually talking about the urinal. So, section 407.2.1, maximum flow rate. Now we're here talking about section 407. Section 407 is lavatories, and a lavatory is the sink that's in the bathroom, okay, used for washing your face. So, the maximum flow rate for a public lav faucet, public, shall not exceed 0.5 gallons per minute at 60 psi, and 2.2 gallons per minute at 60 psi for a private lav faucet. Okay? And now we have metered faucets, section 407.2.2. They shall deliver a maximum of 1/4 of a gallon per metering cycle. Okay? In other words, those are the ones that come on automatically, or you have to press down and it'll supposedly last you at least 1/4 of a gallon. I tell you, over time, those faucets where you have to press the button and it keeps it going, over time they need to be adjusted. How many of you have ever gone down and depressed it and had to keep your hand on it and had to keep your hand on it, and then all of a sudden you realize that isn't going to work, so now you have to keep your elbow on it while you're trying to contort your hand underneath the water flow to wash it. It's awful. And then I want the limitation of hot water temperature for a public lav. Hot water delivered from public use lavs shall be limited to a maximum temperature of 120 degrees Fahrenheit by a device that complies with the following standards. And the water heater thermostat shall not be considered a control for meeting that provision. And then transient public lavatories. Section 407.4. A transient public lav is one in which it's meant for the general public, where they're just in and out. It's not like a public restroom in a restaurant or anything like that. This is one that's out there, like the one at the beach or the park. That's what they're talking about here. Self-closing or metering faucets shall be installed on lavatories intended to serve the transient public, such as those in, but not limited to, service stations, train stations, airports, restaurants, convention halls. Okay? Waste outlet. Lavatories shall have a waste outlet and fixture tailpiece not less than 1.25 inches in diameter. The continuous waste and the fixture tailpieces shall be constructed from the material specified in section 701.4. So everything that pertains to waste is always going to reference chapter 7 as far as materials go, because chapter 7 is sanitary drainage. Waste outlets shall be provided with an approved stopper or strainer. And then the overflow. Where the overflows are provided, they shall be installed in accordance with section 404.2, which we already went over. Water consumption. Now we're into section 408. Section 408 is showers. You'll notice that in this chapter, showers is one of the section 408 is one of the longest sections, and it goes into in depth how to install your own shower pan, how to install and lay out a tile shower floor, or waterproofing. It goes through everything on how to build your own shower. We do not go into that. We're not going into that kind of detail. 408.2, water consumption. Shower heads shall have a maximum flow rate of not more than 2.5 gallons per minute at 80 psi. That's 80 psi. And then we skip over the individual shower and tub shower combination control valve, and we go to waste outlet. Showers shall have a waste outlet and fixture tailpiece not less than 2 inches in diameter. The fixture tailpiece shall be constructed from materials specified in section 701.2 for the drainage piping. The strainers serving the shower drain shall have a waterway at least equivalent to the area of the tailpiece. What they mean by that is all the holes that are in the strainer at the bottom of the shower, your drain, all those holes have to equal the measurement of your pipe. Okay? Waterway at least equivalent to the area of the tailpiece. So if it's a 2-inch tailpiece, which it is because it says so right here, that it needs to be 2 inches, all those little holes, when you add all of that up, needs to equal the same surface area as a 2-inch tailpiece. The finished curb or threshold. Where a shower receptor has a finished dam, curb, or threshold, it shall be not less than 1 inch lower than the sides and the back of the receptor. In no case shall a dam or threshold be less than 2 inches or exceeding 9 inches in depth, where measured from the top of the dam or threshold to the top of the drain. So when you measure from the top, of the dam to the actual drain itself, it's 2 inches minimum, okay, and not more than 9 inches deep. The dam itself is not less than 1 inch lower than the sides and the back of the receptor. Okay. Each such receptor shall be provided with an integral nailing flange to be located where the receptor meets the vertical surface of the finished interior of the shower compartment. The flange shall be watertight and extend vertically not less than 1 inch above the top of the sides of the receptor. The finished floor of the receptor shall slope uniformly from the sides towards the drain not less than 1/8 of an inch per foot, nor more than 1/2 of an inch per foot. The threshold shall be of sufficient width to accommodate a minimum 22-inch door. So your door is a minimum of 22 inches. The shower door shall open so as to maintain not less than a 22-inch unobstructed opening for egress. So not only is your door a minimum of 22 inches, but the entryway has to be at least 22 inches. The immediate adjoining space to showers without thresholds shall be considered a wet location and shall comply with the requirements of the building, residential, and electrical codes. The exceptions are showers in accordance with section 403.2, a cast iron shower receptor flange shall be not less than 0.3 tenths of an inch in height. So this part here, number 2, they're referring to this flange that extends vertically up the side wall so that you can nail it in. And then number 3, for an exception to this whole code section right here, is for flanges not used as a means of securing, the ceiling flange shall be not less than 3/10 of an inch in height. Now that's just securing your shower to the actual wall. And we're not talking about tub and shower here. We're talking about just showers. Okay. Section 408.6, the shower compartment. Shower compartments, regardless of shape, shall have a minimum finished interior of 1,024 square inches and shall also be capable of encompassing a 30-inch circle. So you need 1,024 square inches inside this shower. And no matter how that thing is constructed, you need to be able to to have inside it a 30-inch circle. The minimum required area and dimensions shall be measured at a height equal to the top of the threshold and a point tangent to its center line. The area and dimensions shall be maintained to a point of not less than 70 inches above the shower drain outlet, with no protrusions other than the fixture valve or valves, shower head, soap dishes, shelves, and safety grab bars or rails. Fold-down seats in an accessible shower stall shall be permitted to protrude into the 30-inch circle. Exceptions to this rule are showers that are designed in accordance with the ICC. And number 2 is the minimum required area and dimensions shall not apply for a shower receptor having overall dimensions of not less than 30 inches in width and 60 inches in length. So that whole code section essentially just says that, here, read down here. So here we have a shower stall, okay? And the minimum requirement for that shower stall is 1,024 square inches. Sorry, 1,024 square inches. In this square, you have to be able to have a 30-inch circle. Has to be in there. We'll go ahead and turn the page. Come over here. Remember I told you that the section 408 was the largest one? Because here is, we're talking about making the shower pans using PVC, CPE, sheet lead, sheet copper. All of this pertains to making your shower receptor, including the tests, and it's all kinds of stuff. Now, this one I should have highlighted because I wanted to share with you this, and I apologize. Public shower floors. Floors of public shower rooms shall have a non-skid surface and shall be drained in such a manner that wastewater from one bather shall not pass over areas occupied by other bathers. Keep your wastewater to yourself. The gutters in a public or gang shower room shall have rounded corners for easy cleaning and shall be sloped not less than 2% toward the drains. The drains in the gutters shall be spaced at a maximum of 8 feet from the sidewalls, nor more than 16 feet apart. So cross-section area here, you have a gutter like this. So the person stands here, and we're going to give him some shorts because, we're just giving him shorts. So he stands there, he gets his shower. So he gets the shower. His water goes into this drain, and this drain has several drains all over the place. They go to the back wall, and then they get vented, the whole bit. Okay? Cross-section area of the gutter itself, we'll say we have one there, and this is 8 feet, and that's 8 feet, because that is the maximum distance they can go. Okay? Can they be closer? Yes, they can, because it says right here, a maximum of 8 feet from the sidewall. Okay? So they can be closer than 8 feet, but it goes 2%. And if I have one more right here, spread at the maximum distance, okay? So let's say I have 3 drains. What is the maximum distance this gutter can be? Well, the spread between drains is 16 feet. So here we have, 16, 32, 48 feet, right? "48 feet for 3 drains. That's a lot That's a lot of showers. Okay? So I wanted to go over that section. Now we can talk about bathtubs. The waste outlet for a bathtub. Bathtubs and whirlpool bathtubs shall have a waste outlet and fixture tailpiece not less than 1.5 inches in diameter. Fixture tailpieces shall be constructed from the material specified in section 701.2 for drainage piping. The waste outlet shall be provided with an approved stopper or strainer. So, if a bathtub is 1.5 inches and the shower is 2 inches, right? The reason being is the shower has a smaller area for the water to collect. And if you are running 1.5 inch drain, the water will start to rise and actually go over the shower receptor itself. So it does not require, the shower drain does require a larger size drain in order to maintain that, there's no standing water. A bathtub is 1.5 inches because it has the overflow. And the overflow for the bathtub is there. Plus, it's a standing water setup anyways, and it's designed to maintain a section of standing water. So for a bathtub, the overflow, I always draw this funky, so bear with me on this. So here's your bathtub, and here's your drain. Drain comes down, goes out this way. Overflows up here, that plate that's right there. So that comes down, and that comes down and ties into the drain here, and then from there it gets trapped and goes over to the drain. So this is your tub, this is your waste and overflow for the bathtub. The limitation of hot water in a bathtub and a whirlpool tub. The maximum hot water temperature discharging from the bathtub and the whirlpool bathtub filler shall be limited to 120 degrees by a device that complies with the following standards. The water heater thermostat shall not be considered a control for meeting this provision. And then backflow prevention or protection. The water supply to a bathtub and whirlpool bathtub filler valve shall be protected by an air gap, or in accordance with sections 417. So you have to have an air gap, which is fine because the spout that comes out for the bathtub usually sits a few inches above the flood level rim anyways, and that's because it's providing you with your air gap. I used to work with a guy who called a bidet a bidet. And I told him it's not a bidet, it's a bidet. And he's like, well, I always heard bidet. And I said, no, that's the guy on the radio commercials for the Motel 6. Tom Bidet will keep the light on for you. I don't know if any of you remember that commercial, but... Okay, section 410.3, limitation of water temperature in a bidet. Up until this point, the hot water has been limited to 120 degrees for everything. But the bidet is different. The maximum hot water temperature discharging from a bidet shall be limited to 110 degrees by a device that complies with the following standards. And then again, your water heater standard shall not be considered the control for meeting that provision. You want less than 110 because it starts to get a little warm, and that area where the bidet operates is a bit of an anatomical sensitivity location. Let's put it that way. Very sensitive. Water closets. Section 411. 411.2 water consumption. Based on this code, water closets shall have a maximum consumption not to exceed 1.6 gallons of water per flush. And then I went down to the flushometer valve activated water closet. These are your commercial water closets. The flushometer valve activated water closet shall have a maximum flush volume of 1.6 gallons per flush. I like talking about these urinals. Urinals, based on this code. Now, I've installed plenty that have less than this, okay? Urinals shall have an average water consumption not to exceed 1 gallon of water per flush. I have put in ½ gallon per flush, okay? And again, this is based on the Uniform Plumbing Code. Most places where you install urinals have it specified that you're going to use low consumption or non-water urinals. I'm reading you this section because I think this is one of the more important sections in this chapter, okay? Non-water urinals shall have a liquid barrier sealant to maintain a trap seal. Non-water urinals shall permit the uninhibited flow of waste through the urinal to the sanitary drainage system. Non-water urinals shall be cleaned and maintained in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions after installation. Okay, I want to go ahead and talk about that part right now. The non-water urinal shall be cleaned and maintained in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions after install. Who does that maintaining? Who is responsible for that? The custodial staff, the facilities plumber, anybody who manages and maintains those restrooms, that is their responsibility. It says so right there. It needs to be maintained. Then you can go all the way back to chapter 1 and, chapter 3, and it tells you the person who maintains is responsible, okay? Where non-water urinals are installed. We're here now. Not less than 1 water supplied fixture rated at not less than 1 water supply fixture unit shall be installed upstream on the same drain line to facilitate the drain line flow and rinsing. So they know that if I have a whole wall of non-water urinals or tankless, or not tankless, or waterless urinals, okay, these are just urinals that have no flush valve on them. It's just the urinal and you pee in it, and that's it, okay? They know, and this actually changed, they know that you have to have water in that line to clear out that urine, because if urine collects and urine dries out, there's calcium, there's minerals, there's all kinds of waste in the urine that will build up and clog that line and solidify that line. It's actually quite disgusting. So they know they have to put something upstream so that when they utilize it, it helps scour out that drain line. Where non-water urinals are installed, this is the part that gets me. They shall have a water distribution line rough in to each individual urinal location to allow for the install of an approved backflow prevention device in the event of a retrofit. So, this last sentence here, you still have to run the water line. You just don't connect it to a flush valve, okay? You have to run it. It has to be behind the wall. So, they call it in the event of a retrofit. I call it when they come to their senses and realize what a mistake they made when they put in one of these non-water urinals in to begin with. The water's there. They can just open up a wall, hook up their flush valve, and call it good. That's it for this page. We're almost done. Almost. I don't know why I always do that. Ooh, dishwashing machines. Dishwashing machines. 414.2. The water supply connection to a commercial dishwashing machine shall be protected by an air gap or backflow prevention device in accordance with Section 603.332, Section 603.35, Section 603.36, or that complies with ASSE 1004. So you have to have some form of like a back check so that the water being supplied into the commercial dishwashing machine, now it's commercial, is protected, okay? Drainage connection. Domestic dishwashing machines shall discharge indirectly, okay, through an air gap fitting in accordance with section 807.3 into a waste receptor, a Y-branch fitting on the tailpiece of a kitchen sink, or a dishwasher connection of the food waste disposer. The commercial dishwashing machine shall discharge indirectly through an air brake or direct connection. The indirect discharge for a commercial dishwashing machine shall be in accordance with section 807.1, and the direct discharge shall be in accordance with section 704.3. That is for commercial. I'm interested in the domestic. That domestic dishwashing machine has to go through an air gap fitting. Okay? Remember this. This is required. Now, what I'm saying about this is because I get a lot of questions on this one. A lot. Dishwasher. Sink over here. Garbage disposal. Right? So here's a little outlet right there. So here's your sink. This dishwasher discharge on the drain has to go up to an air gap. And then from there, it needs to go down and tie in to the garbage disposal connection. The argument is we don't need this. We just need to take this discharge. So the argument is the manufacturer says all we have to do is take this and take it up as high as we possibly can underneath the counter and bring it all the way back in and in. Well, that's fine. The manufacturer can say that. But based on our municipality, based on the state of California and their adoption of this code, this is the more stringent. Now remember, going all the way back to chapter 1, we'll read this section right here. Where there is a conflict between a general requirement and a specific requirement, the specific requirement shall prevail. And then where the requirements within this jurisdiction of the plumbing code conflict with the requirements of the mechanical code, this code shall prevail. In instances where this code, applicable standards, or the manufacturer's installation instructions conflict, the more stringent provision shall prevail. Well, guess what's more stringent? This is more stringent because you got to actually install an air gap. The other one, you don't. So this is the way you have to do it based on this chapter and chapter 1. I had to contact a lawyer because she got all pissed off from the dishwashing, a delivery guy for a dishwashing machine. Our guy who worked at the plumbing company I was working for at the time told her she needed to have an air gap put in. And it was a special concrete countertop. And so she had somebody drill the hole for the countertop, okay, which came in later, you know, and then she brought in the dishwashing machine. And she told them, please hook up with the air gap. And the guy said, you don't need the air gap because the dishwasher, you know, the instructions say you don't need to do it. So she threatened to sue us for, you know, essentially telling her the wrong information. I had to pull out this code section, chapter 1, chapter 8, section 807.3, everything, show her in writing that this is our code, this is the code. And then I explained in detail why you have to have the air gap. You do not want the waste backing up on your drain line, okay, your kitchen sink, where your dishwasher's hooked up. If that were to ever back up, where do you think that hose is going to go? It's going to go straight into your dishwasher where you wash your dishes. Do you want shit water in your dishwasher? Come on. That's why you put the air gap in there, to prevent that from happening. 415.2. Drinking fountain alternatives. Where food is consumed indoors, water stations shall be permitted to be substituted for drinking fountains. A bottle filling station shall be permitted to be substituted for drinking fountains up to 50% of the requirements for the drinking fountain. So if I need 20 drinking fountains, 10 of them can be bottle fillers. Drinking fountains shall not be required for an occupant load of 30 or less. Section 415.3. I believe you may have already had a question on this. Drinking fountains shall be permitted to discharge directly into the drainage system or indirectly through an air break in accordance with Section 809.1. And the location. Drinking fountains, unfortunately, shall not be installed in a toilet room. And I think you understand why. I hope you understand why you don't want to put a drinking fountain in a restroom, especially in a public restroom where somebody's like, screw it, I have to go so bad I can't wait in line anymore, I'm using the drinking fountain. It's amazing that we have to put some of these code sections in, isn't it? I mean, a lot of it's common sense, but if it's not in there, people will put it in. Section 416.4. Oh, sorry. 416 deals with emergency eyewash and shower equipment. Emergency eyewash and shower equipment shall be located on the same level as the hazard and accessible for immediate use. The path of travel shall be free of obstructions and shall be clearly identified with signage. And then 416.5. A drain shall not be required for emergency eyewash or shower equipment. Where a drain is provided, the discharge shall be in accordance with Section 811.0. Now, Chapter 8, because it's referring to a lot of these indirect locations for Chapter 8, to Chapter 8, that is, in of itself, indirect waste. That's what Chapter 8 is all about. Section 417.5, separate controls for hot and cold water. I always neglect to tell you what we're talking about here. We're talking about faucets and fixture fittings, Section 417. Where two separate handles control the hot and cold water, the left-hand control of the faucet, where facing the fixture fitting outlet, shall control the hot water. The faucets and diverters shall be connected to the water distribution system so that hot water corresponds to the left side of the fixture fitting. Single handle mixing valves installed in showers and tub shower combinations shall have the flow of hot water corresponding to the markings on the fixture fitting. Now I bring that up. I had a student one time, one of my more memorable students, came in late to class, and I was like, I made an assumption that, oh gosh, no. That didn't look right. So here's his boot. Okay? There's a boot. I did this in red because this is his left boot. His left boot was red. And so he came in late and I was like, oh, were you doing some layout? And he said, no. I said, well, I figured you were like painting, you know, the floor and saying this is where the hot line is going to go. This is where the... He said, no, check this out. And he pointed to his left boot, which was red. And he says, hot's on the left. And then he pointed to his right boot, which was painted blue. And he said, cold's on the right. He said, I've been doing roughing all day. And I said, well, that's fantastic. So you've been running copper pipe all day today? And he says, yeah, man. I was just going to town. And I said, and you followed this whole left red boot hot, you know? He said, yeah. And I said, well, what happens when you're working on the back side of the wall? Where are you going to be roughing in that hot line? And he said, "Oh, it's on the left side." I said, "Are you sure? Now think about this." And in front of the class, he said, "No, man, it's on the..." And then he stopped, and he thought about it for a second. And he said, as he sunk his head, "I have a lot of work to do tomorrow." Point being is, here's your wall, there's your sink. If you're standing on this side, if you're standing back here and you're piping in, and you run your pipe stub out here and your pipe stub out here, which one is hot and which one is cold? This is hot and this is cold, because facing it from this side, as I'm facing my lav and I'm standing right here and I want to wash my hands, cold's on the right, hot's on the left, right? But as you go on the back end and you work on it from the back side, that's your correct rough-in. Cold's on the left because I'm behind the sink. Hot's on the right because I'm behind the sink. So yeah, he had it flipped and flopped, and poor guy. Floor drains. Got to talk about floor drains real quick. Floor drains shall be considered plumbing fixtures, and each such drain shall be provided with an approved type strainer having a water weight equivalent to the area of the tailpiece. The floor drain shall be of an approved type and shall provide a watertight joint on the floor. It's very important about that. Now, who's responsible for the watertight joint on the floor? Typically, the person doing the flooring, okay? As a contractor, you are not responsible for waterproofing the piping itself. For drains, shower drains, you're responsible for installing the drain, but the waterproofing is somebody else. Always check the contract so you're not on the hook for something that we do not specialize in. Location of floor drains. Floor drains shall be installed in the following areas: a toilet room containing 2 or more water closets, or a combination of 1 water closet, 1 urinal, except in a dwelling unit. A commercial kitchen in accordance with section 704.3. Laundry rooms in commercial buildings and common laundry facilities in multifamily dwelling buildings, and in boiler rooms. So those are where you have to have floor drains. Food storage areas. Again, we're still on section 418, which is floor drains, okay? Where drains are provided in storerooms, walk-in freezers, walk-in coolers, refrigerated equipment, or other locations where food is stored, such drains shall have indirect waste piping. Separate waste pipes shall be run from each food storage area, each with an indirect connection to the building sanitary drainage system. The trap shall be provided in accordance with section 801.3.2 of this code and shall be vented. Indirect drains shall be permitted to be located in freezers or other spaces where freezing temperatures are maintained, provided that the traps, where supplied, shall be located where the seal will not freeze. Otherwise, the floor of the freezer shall be sloped to a floor drain located outside the storage compartment. So, essentially what they're saying is, if you got like a walk-in food storage location and you have a floor drain in there, obviously if there's a sewage backup, you don't want it coming up in your food storage. So you have to run that drain into as an indirect drain into a floor sink. And I refer you back, at this point, I refer you back to the chapters 2 and 3 exam. In that little illustration, I believe it was the 3rd or 4th question for the indirect drain pipe. It's essentially the same thing, just a little bit of a different application. Floors shall be sloped to floor drains. You will be shocked to know how many floor drains are installed where the floor does not slope to the drain. It's like the drain is the high point in the actual floor, and that's unfortunate. I put that blame wholly on the plumber that installed it. They need to know how thick that floor is. They need to be able to set that floor drain low enough so that the guy who's screeting that concrete can actually run it to the drain with fall. So that is the plumber's responsibility to make sure that that floor gets sloped properly. Every time I see that, it bums me out because it means the plumber didn't do his job right. Section 419, food waste disposer. Another name for a food waste disposer is a garbage disposal. Section 419.2, an approved Y or other directional type branch fitting shall be installed in continuous waste connecting or receiving the discharge from a food waste disposer. No dishwasher drain shall be connected to a sink tailpiece, continuous waste, or trap on the discharge side of a food waste disposer. If you have a garbage disposal, and we're going to go right back to this drawing. If we have a garbage disposal and a dishwasher, the drain pipe has to go in up here. That's the only location you can tie this into, is the upstream side of the garbage disposal. I can't tie it in over here on this pipe coming down here because this is technically the discharge side of the garbage disposal. You see? So this is the only way that this can be done. Section 420, sinks. Water consumption. Sink faucets shall have a maximum flow rate of not more than 2.2 gallons per minute at 60 psi. You may refer to the lab section of this video where they refer to the flow rate on a public at 0.5 gallons per minute. Right? So the sink is much higher at 2.2 gallons per minute. Exceptions to that limitation of 2.2 gallons per minute is a clinical sink, laundry sink, and a service sink. Those all have different capacities. Okay. The clinical sink is essentially a water closet that's mounted higher on the wall for you to wash out bedpans. A pre-rinse spray valve. Commercial food service pre-rinse spray valves, you know, the one that is got that nice little loop on it for the handheld shower deal. It shall have a maximum flow rate of 1.6 gallons per minute at 60 psi and shall be equipped with an integral automatic shutoff. The waste outlet. So kitchen and laundry sinks shall have a waste outlet and fixture tailpiece not less than 1.5 inches in diameter. So that's your fixture tailpiece, which is the tailpiece coming out of the fixture, and the P-trap. The P-trap, all of 1 inch, 1.5 inches, excuse me. But the waste, once that thing gets vented, it has to be 2 inch, okay? So service sinks shall have a waste outlet and fixture tailpiece not less than 2 inches in diameter. Service sink or mop sink. Most mop sinks are 3 inches, but the minimum you can have is 2 inches. The fixture tailpiece shall be constructed from materials specified in section 701.2 for drainage piping. A waste outlet shall be provided with an approved strainer. Section 422. Minimum number of required fixtures. After we are done with this code section, we're going to look at a table and I'll show you the minimum number of fixtures required per building type. So section 422.1, fixture count. Plumbing fixtures shall be provided for the type of building occupancy and in the minimum number shown in table 422.1. The total occupant load and occupancy classification shall be determined in accordance with the building code. Occupancy classification not shown in table 422.1 shall be considered separately by the authority having jurisdiction. The minimum number of fixtures shall be calculated at 50% male and 50% female based on the total occupant load. Where information submitted indicates a difference in the distribution of the sexes, such information shall be used to determine the number of fixtures for each sex. This code section in of itself will probably be changing in the next code cycle. Where information submitted indicates a difference in the distribution of the sexes, information shall be used to determine the number of fixtures for each sex. Once the occupancy load and occupancy are determined, Table 422.1 shall be applied to determine the minimum number of plumbing fixtures required. We're applying the fixture ratios in Table 422.1 results in a fractional number. Such numbers shall be rounded to the next whole number. So let's say I come up with, oh crap, I have 30.2 males. It's not 30.2, it's 31. Okay, so you round up. For multiple occupancies, fractional numbers shall be first summed and then rounded to the next whole number. Okay, that's that section. Turn the page. Section 422.2, separate facilities. Separate toilet facilities shall be provided for each sex. Exceptions. We are in trouble if this code section doesn't change. Because how many sexes are there now? Last time I checked, like 32 different classifications of sex. I'm not going to get into that. Exceptions to the separate toilet facility provided for each sex. Residential installations, obviously, you're not going to sit there and provide different restrooms for different sexes in your house. In occupancies with a total occupant load of 10 or less, including customers and employees, one toilet facility designed for use by no more than one person at a time shall be permitted for use by both sexes. In business and mercantile occupancies with a total occupant load of 50 or less, including customers and employees, one toilet facility designed for use by no more than one person at a time shall be permitted for use by both sexes. Okay? So you have the occupancy in number 2 there, and then the business in number 3. So if I have a business and I'm running an occupant load of less than 50, I can just use the one bathroom. 422.2.1, single-use toilet facility. The single-use toilet facility and family or assisted use toilet facility shall be identified with signage indicated use by either sex. So I can get a single-use toilet facility and say that it's a unisex restroom. Fixture requirements for special occupancies. Additional fixtures shall be permitted to be required where unusual environmental conditions or referenced activities are encountered. In food prep areas, fixture requirements shall be permitted to be dictated by health codes. Section 422.4. Each building or structure shall be provided with toilet facilities for employees and customers. Requirements for customers and employees shall be permitted to be met with a single set of restrooms accessible to both groups. Required toilet facilities for employees and customers located in a shopping mall or a center shall be permitted to be met by providing a centrally located toilet facility accessible to several stores. The maximum travel distance from entry to any store to the toilet facility shall not exceed 300 feet. Required toilet facilities for employees and customers in other than shopping malls or centers shall have a maximum travel distance not to exceed 500 feet. So, from any given store, the maximum distance I can go before hitting a restroom is the length of a football field. You should check on that one of these days and see what you got. Access to a toilet facility, 422.4.1. In a multi-story building, like an office building, Accessibility to the required toilet facilities shall not exceed 1 vertical story. So if I'm on the 4th floor and there's no restroom, I can go up to the 5th floor and they'll have a restroom. I can go down to the 3rd floor and they'll have a restroom. Okay? Access to the required toilet facilities for customers shall not pass through areas designated as for employee use only, such as kitchens, food prep areas, storage rooms, closets, or similar spaces. The toilet facilities accessible only to private offices shall not be counted to determine your compliance with this section. So I believe that's it for that. Let's look at this table real quick. Let's see, what should I give you? Let's do a residence. Let's do a residence. There you go. This one. This is an example, and I'm just going to use this one because this is the basics. R3, residential occupancy, 1 and 2 family dwellings. So that's what we have. That's what we live in. That's our house. Okay. This column, water closets, right? Fixtures per person. Then they have note 3 there, but it doesn't pertain to R3. 1 per 1 and 2 family dwellings. So how many water closets do I need per house? 1. How many urinals? None. Damn it. I always wanted a urinal. Lavs, fixtures per person. Notes 5 and 6. We'll get to that in a second. 1 per 1 and 2 family dwelling. So far, I need 1 water closet, 1 lav. Let's see what else I need here. Bathtub or shower. So I need 1 shower. And then other, for R3, I need 1 kitchen sink and 1 automatic clothes washer connection per 1 and 2 family dwelling. So really, the bare minimum for a house is a water closet, a lav, a bathtub or a shower, a kitchen sink, and a clothes washer. That's all I need. So that's how you read this table. And again, this table is a couple of pages long, and it talks about several different types of buildings. Okay. And these are your notes. So what did we have? We had note 3. The total number of required water closets for females shall be not less than the total number of required water closets and urinals for males. That's obviously not going to happen in our little residence. And then we had notes 5 and 6, which I believe was for your lavatories. So, lavatories. Note 5, group lavs that are 24 lineal inches of wash sink or 18 inches of a circular basin, where provided with water outlets for such space, shall be considered equivalent to 1 lav. And then number 6 is metering or self-closing faucets shall be installed on lavs intended to serve the transient public, which we already knew, but, you know, because we talked about that in one of the other previous code sections. So there you have it. There's chapter 4, an abbreviated Cliff Notes version, so to speak. And we will go ahead and close up shop from that chapter. I'll see you guys on the next video. Don't forget to take your test. And like I said, the test is going to have pretty much everything that I've highlighted in it. Well, not everything, but everything that's highlighted has a chance of being on the test. How's that? All right. Well, enjoy your evening. I'll talk to you later.